I got a little lazy for this review. I started taking notes and then I just kind of lost interest, and I got a backlog of movies that I have to talk about, so we're just going to kind of go off the cuff with a few details. We are going to be reviewing 1972's Disney live-action comedy Snowball Express, and this is my original childhood VHS copy from the 90s. This movie has a 93-minute runtime. It was directed by Norman Tokar, and it stars Dean Jones, Nancy Olson, some Disney standbys. Harry Morgan, who plays one of the main characters in MASH. Keenan Wynn, Keenan Wynn, another character, Disney actor. You see him in a lot of movies. So this has all the old standby Disney movies. And the discussion that I wanted to have is kind of, Disney used to make 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 movies, and this kind of was in the golden age of Disney when Walt was still at the helm. You see movies like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Pollyanna, Swiss Family Robinson. These are all childhood classics of my mom that then she imparted to me and I grew up watching. And then you get into the late 60s, kind of, I'm not sure if this came out post-Walt, but I am guessing probably. Then you get into movies, another Dean Jones starring movie, The Ugly Dachshund, which again I grew up watching. And then you get into movies, this is a great movie, another childhood copy of mine, No Deposit, No Return. We're moving into the 70s era live action films. All of the Herbie the Love Bug movies, Dean Jones is in a couple of them. He's a Disney standby. And another standby is Ken Barron, or Ken Barry. He's another Disney regular. So you get into this era of 70s and late 60s Disney's movies, kind of the post-Walt era. Are they good movies? They're enjoyable movies, but we've kind of moved past the golden age of live-action Disney into kind of more of the B-film, Saturday matinee type of just fluff. You get like the Don Knotts, Apple Dumpling Gang kind of movies, lump in all the Kurt Russell kind of films. We've kind of passed the heyday of quality, and it's just Saturday matinee. But they are part of the lexicon of people's childhoods, and maybe they grew up with them and they love them, right? So Snowball Express, this has kind of very low critic scores. I didn't write it down, unfortunately. I think that Rotten Tomatoes was in like the 40s, and you would call this, like I mentioned, a B movie. But basically the premise is Dean Jones, again, a Disney standby. He plays an accountant at an insurance company in Manhattan. His character is Johnny Baxter. In the morning shift, he gets a lawyer showing up that his great uncle Jake has passed away. The movie was filmed on location in Colorado, and he has inherited this grand hotel, and he just quits his job because he thinks it's this gold mine. The lawyer kind of didn't really do his due diligence, and the hotel has been abandoned. It's like a Victorian era, kind of a gold rush, post-gold rush. There's not a lot going on. The town's a couple of hundred people. And then the battle is waging between Keenan Wynn, who's the town banker, and it just kind of goes from there. There's a snowmobile race. It's all over the map. But it is a childhood favorite that I grew up watching many times on this exact VHS copy. So again, it's probably realistically a 3 out of 5. Most of the critics did not like this movie. They just thought it was pure fluff, which it is. And all of these movies, which I'm not going to do a deep dive on all of them. I mean, they could probably all have their own individual review, but there's not a lot written on these types of Disney B films from the late 60s and 70s, right? I mean, you got a whole quadrilogy of the Herbie movies, and I could talk for hours about all of these films individually and review all of them. But I'm going to chalk them up as all B movies, but then sentimentality plays a factor, right? We love these movies because it was part of my childhood. And this should realistically be a 3 out of 5 movie, but the nostalgia factor bumps it up to at least a 4 out of 5, which is the rating that I'm going to give it. It's so fun. And it takes place in winter, so you could call it a Christmas movie. There's no Christmas tree in this film, but it was a good winters by the fire with a cup of cocoa movie. And the kids enjoy it. They kind of lost interest. Their generation is lost on these older live action Disney films. But I feel like there is something that has been lost by Disney where they do not make good movies like this anymore. I think probably the last really good remake and adaptation would be the 1990's remake of The Parent Trap, where they were kind of going back to their roots of the older live action films. But they don't really make movies like that anymore. They mostly do your CGI, purely animated, computerized, your Inside Out and stuff like that. But I wish that Disney would still make scripts and put out movies like this, just fun family adventures. They are classics of my childhood, albeit my mom saw this movie probably when she was 12 years old. This came out in a similar time period, early 70's. My mom probably would have been junior high age. You drop your kids off at the movie theater on a Saturday. They're rated G. There's nothing remotely inappropriate, but they're fun. They're fun movies. They're B movies for sure. And even like I mentioned Kurt Russell earlier, all those movies with Kurt Russell, there's a quadrilogy of those, several of those movies. And I have a DVD box set of those in the Apple Dumpling Gang. I couldn't find it in my massive hoard. But again, it's post-Walt. He died in, I think, 1966. So all this stuff comes after, where they're making these kind of fluff movies, where when Walt was around, you see a lot more serious films, a lot more serious acted films. And now we've kind of gotten into this just popcorn flicks, which there's nothing wrong with that, and I enjoy it. So if you haven't seen movies like Snowball Express, or even Darren McGavin and Don Knotts in No Deposit, No Return, or, even this is just kind of a fluff movie with Ken Berry, but, and Harry Morgan is in this movie too. He plays a colonel. So, you see a lot of these same people reappear in these movies from the 70's that Disney put out. They're all enjoyable movies. Are they going to capture a younger audience? My kids 11 and under did not really get into any of these. They did like The Cat from Outer Space. But all the Love Bug movies for me are iconic. Are they going to win an Oscar? No. But to me, all these movies, sentimentally, they score in the 4s. But realistically, they're probably all 3s. So that's it. Get out there. Keep finding movies on VHS. Watch the obscure stuff. Maybe it was from your childhood, too. I'd love to hear your commentary on it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.